But let's say the vehicle has an accident, prior hail damage that's been fixed and a Carfax, and it's not worth the residual. But then you can bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away.
Overwhelming majority of people in DFW, they don't pay one off. They think they're going to, they commit long term, and then they go trade out of it.
I'd say most people have never even seen a Texas title.
Welcome into Inside the Lease from our friends at dmautoleasing.com. I'm Brian Estridge. Kelly Strausser's alongside. How are you, Kelly?
Doing well.
Chase Kennemer's with us again.
Hey.
You know, I think people know or talk about the process of leasing or buying a vehicle and how it starts. But how does it end with a lease? I mean, maybe that's a question that we should answer today. Yeah, what
got
happens at the end?
Three options. Buy it out.
Okay.
You can trade it in, just like a normal, you're in the middle of a loan, or you can turn the car in and have it inspected and walk away. So buy it out, trade it in, walk away.
And by the way, there's no right answer, right?
Right.
Yeah, all three of
I
them.
think that's where the guidance is important. We have tenured agents. The average tenure of our salespeople is well over 10 years, and the average tenure of our managers is well over 20 years. And so you have those three options. You can buy it, trade it, or bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away. And it's really a situation. It's not scary. I think people think the end of the lease might be scary.
Yeah.
It's not scary. It's actually, if you think about it, so you have a residual value, which is a guaranteed future value that we put on the vehicle.
That's what you're paying it down to.
You pay your depreciation from what the car costs up front down to that residual value, and the difference between the original cost of the car and the residual is your depreciation.
Got it.
Principal, another word for it. Yeah.
Yep. So you pay that depreciation down, you get to your residual, and you get to the end of the lease. And so you've got a guaranteed value that we've done an incredible amount of research to make sure that that is a good wholesale trade number, so the customer's in a good spot. So you get to the end of the lease and you decide you want to buy it. Well, you call your friendly D&M agent, we transition it from a lease to a loan, and you buy it and pay it off, much like you were in the middle of a long-term finance contract and you wanted to own it and keep it out, and we help you do that. Sure. The second thing would be you trade it. Well, your vehicle has a value. The vehicle's
That residual value. That you
No. The residual value is your guarantee. The
Okay.
residual value is
So
your
the trade
guarantee.
Yeah, it's like your payoff
Yeah,
at the end.
that's
of
your
it. Think
payoff.
about-
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
So
that
the trade value could be different.
the trade value could be different. So
Yeah.
let's say the trade value is higher. You have that equity. So you hold the equity. You can
Nice.
trade it into another lease with us, hopefully, or you could take it to a dealership and you have equity that you can apply to another loan or lease. Hopefully, a lease if you thinks it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or the value. In most cases, it's not, because we do a lot of research to make sure that residual is right on. Like I said, it's intuitive. We have these residuals insured, so we've definitely done our homework, different data points and different data sets to make sure that these residuals are accurate. But let's say the vehicle has an accident, prior hail damage that's been fixed and a Carfax, and it's not worth the residual. Well, then you can bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away. And so a lot of people think they're afraid, like Chase said, inspection. That's scary to think, oh, you're going to inspect my car. Well, yeah, absolutely. Let's say there's $5,000 worth of negative equity. If you were in the middle of a long-term finance contract, you'd be upside down and you'd be on the hook to handle that $5,000 somehow. Well, with us, you bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away. You
Right.
pay a disposal fee, and you walk away. And that's a benefit. That's a huge benefit. We call that the liability benefits of leasing. Like during the financial crisis, people that were in leases it worked so well because the economy wasn't good, the stock market had crashed,
SUV values tanked.
gas prices were high,
Oh.
and all assets, including cars, dropped significantly. Well, if you were in the middle of a long term, I'll never forget, I had a lady that called me, and she was in an S-Class Mercedes, and she was $45,000 upside down. And she was in tears. She didn't do it with us. She bought it, and she was wondering what you could do. And the unfortunate thing is there was nothing you could do. But also, people, I'm sure, lease those kind of vehicles from us, big SUVs or luxury cars, and they were significantly upside down. Had nothing to do with us.
Right.
It was the market. You were significantly upside down. But with a lease, those people could bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away. And the funder is on the hook for all that negative equity.
They
So
never
if
thought about it again.
they never thought about it again,
Yeah.
but they lease a new car. So if you think about a lease, it's really a situation where the customer holds all the cards, but the bank, i.e., us, we hold the risk. So you're passing the risk off to somebody else, but then in doing so, we also manage that with a customer, and we help them make the best decision for whatever their needs are.
And it's like a backstop though, because I do hear from people, well, this idea of ownership, first of all, they don't own they sign a loan.
Right.
The same bank will loan money to a customer with us and buy a pre-owned car or lease, but the same bank is receiving payments on leases and loans. So
Yeah.
they have a lien on it. You stop making payments. You can pay $100,000 for a car, and you don't make your last payment, they'll come repossess it out of your driveway.
Yeah, they will.
So they own it. So there is no ownership until you pay a car off. And the overwhelming majority of people in DFW, they don't pay one off. They think they're going to, they commit long term, and then they go trade out of it.
I'd say most people have never even seen a Texas title.
Yeah, we thought about at one time doing some kind of a contest.
Bring us your title.
No, like having 3 documents that all look legitimate and seeing if a consumer can actually
Yeah, that'd be hard.
pick the right one. And most people have never even seen one.
Yeah.
But so this ownership idea, but when you get past that, they're like, well, I don't have any equity. I don't have any equity. And so I want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
You don't pay the same payment in a lease and in a loan, and you just have equity. Like equity doesn't appear out of thin air. So are you tracking me? So
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
if you could pay the same payment in both scenarios, and okay, I get it, but you don't. So if you pay significantly more per month,
Right.
and then you have equity, well, every month, had you just not paid significantly more and save that, your equity be in a bank account that has nothing to do with a car that someone's looking at Facebook or Chat GPT and they hammer you from behind.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's worth less. That money could be sitting in a bank account. But the residual that you're paying a car down to. So let's just say, in an example, your residual is $25,000 on a 4Runner. If the market is strong on the car whenever you are at the end and it's worth 30, again, 3 options: buy it out, trade it in, walk away. Well, we would say, let's not turn the car back in and just give a $30,000 car that has a payoff balance of 25 back.
Yeah.
We're going to pay your car off. That'd be the trade option. We trade you out of it. So your residual at the very end is like your payoff, like a trade-in.
Right.
Pay it off for 25. We'd give you a $30,000 trade-in value. Sometimes we're like, you want it back in a check? And some people want it all back. They want to go on a family trip. Some people want to apply it to the next deal. I mean, they can do whatever they want. It's theirs. So you have the upside, the exact same upside you'd have in a retail purchase. So I challenge people, walk me through what benefits are there to buying a car, unless you're truly going to pay it off, put the title in the safe at the house,
Right.
have no payment for 4 or 5 years. Go buy
The
it.
car for
Buy it.
Well, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. My grandfather Sam he bought his cars.
Yeah.
He really did. He drove a Pontiac sedan, and my grandma Shirley
Yeah.
a Chevy Nova.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Sam would go to the dealership and he would write a check for that Pontiac sedan
Right.
and that Chevy Nova.
right out.
Yeah, he'd buy them out, and they kept their cars for 15, 16, 17 years.
Perfect
He'd
sense.
work on them until the Chevy Nova didn't work, and then he'd get my grandma a new Chevy Nova. The difference is my grandma Shirley's Chevy Novas that she drove in the 70s were probably about $2,500, $2,000. And Grandpa probably went in and talked him down from 2,000 to 1,900 and wrote him a check. That's not the reality of today. And today, a Suburban can be $100,000. And the vehicle prices have risen so much faster than incomes, to where my grandpa Sam probably didn't know what leasing was and probably didn't make a lot of sense to him. But if he knew that a Chevy Suburban for a family might go for $100,000, leasing would make a lot more sense. And when Chase is explaining, he and I have done this. I've been here for 24 years, and you've been
Going
here
on
for
18.
I was going to say 18. And so we can get as in depth with clients as they want. Like they'll say, let's get in the weeds. explain that to me. And that's where Chase was, this and your 5,000, we'll do it here. But some people don't. Some people just want us to help them make a good decision.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we'll go at our customer's speed, and we'll get in the weeds and go over every dime and how it works and how we're going to protect you and how it makes sense and what the options are. Or let's make this easy. And this is what I want to do. Can y'all do it for us? And the answer is yes. So we try to teach our people to adapt to our clients.
Because I've heard you make leasing easy at D&M. Is that true?
We make leasing easy at D&M.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And on managing the back end, so let's touch on two more scenarios. So somebody does damage a vehicle. Let's just say they damage it. We'll get the car inspected ahead of time.
Right.
And your payments are set up based upon normal wear and tear. So obviously that would lower the trade-in. But even if you're in a loan, if you have a bunch of damage to a car and you go to trade in, they're going to give you less money. So
the value of the car is
the value is less. So that's the same in both scenarios. So we do an analysis. We'd look and say, okay, what is the vehicle worth? What do you owe? Because even with the damage, there's situations where there is damage to a car, but the market's strong. On that 4Runner example, maybe it isn't worth 30 because there's damage. Now it's worth 27. Well, even with damage on it. And so that way you don't have to go. I mean, we could have 2,000 of equity, or maybe somebody did go over on their miles, and we track it, throughout the lease. We're touching base. And so maybe you move and it's like, hey man, I'm in a 15,000 mile a year lease. Now I'm driving 22,000 miles a year. We'll track it for you. And if you're driving 22,000, you're paying a payment reflecting on 15,000. So you should be paying more. You're using it more than you're paying. We'll say, okay, hey, you're probably using it maybe $70 a month more. So why don't you just start throwing $70 a month aside, because at the end, but we get to the end and we appraise it, and maybe if they were to turn it in and pay a per mile penalty, they would owe $3,000 to turn a car in. But maybe whenever we appraise the car and compare it to the residual, maybe they're only $1,500 upside down. And so we're experts at yes. walking people through that. And in that scenario, we would say, hey, look, let's not turn it in and pay that. We can give you a trade value, and the net difference there's better. So that's where having somebody in your corner that knows what's going on, and maybe you don't want to get another Lexus, but you think the Lexus guy is really going to help you figure out how to save every penny whenever you're going to go to the Mercedes store next? No. But with us, we can do any. So we're aligned. We want it to work out well. We want to help you out the back end, and then it doesn't matter what car they want next. We can be of service to them. So that's where.
I've never asked you guys this, and I'm curious because it just came up. There are three things that can happen at the end of a lease, and all three are fine. I mean, it depends on the scenario, depends on your lifestyle and what works for you. I'm curious, so of those three, what do the majority of people do?
Well, the majority of people trade. They come back to us. 80% of customers of our customers are repeats and referrals.
Gotcha.
And so just the example Chase just mentioned, let's say we do our very best to interview and customize a lease to suit our customers' driving habits, trading patterns, and that sort of thing. But life gets in the way. They drive more miles. They get a new job, and now they got a new territory, and they're driving more. So as our agents, they don't bother them, but they all have lease proprietary software that allows them to manage the lease from start to finish. So they'll always know what the vehicle is worth, what our clients' vehicles are worth, what they owe the bank, and the optimal time to transition them out. So life gets in the way. Our customer drives more miles, and our agents in contact with them saying, hey, yeah, you're making a lease payment that's reflective of driving 15,000 miles, but now you're driving 20 or 25, and you're depreciating your vehicle more. Well, they stay in constant contact. You get to the end of the lease, and that customer can bring it back, drop off the keys, and walk away. They can buy it, or they can trade it. The vast majority of people trade it. Well, let's say because they overdrove their vehicle and they depreciated it more than their lease. Let's say they have $2,500 worth of negative equity. Well, when you're leasing, the vehicle is titled in the leasing company's name. So that doesn't matter where you lease it. If you lease it, the owner is the bank,
right,
and the driver is the lessor.
Yeah.
Lessor. And so when you buy a car in the state of Texas, you pay taxes on the full amount. Everybody understands that.
Sure.
So
6.25.
6.25%. So if it's a $30,000 car, it's roughly $1,800 in taxes that you pay. So when you do that and you're financing a car and you go back and you want to trade it against another vehicle, when you're assessed taxes from the state, they only assess taxes on the difference between the cost of the two cars.
As long
So
as
as
the
not to
owner's the
double dip
same.
you. Yeah, as long as the owner's the same, which if you're buying it, the owner's going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're buying one and you're trading a $20,000 car against and buying your vehicle's worth 20, you're buying a $30,000 car, you're only going to be assessed $10,000 in sales tax, 6.25 of that, $600. With leasing, it doesn't work that way. If you're leasing a ABC brand and you trade into a XYZ brand, those lessees have to pay full taxes every single time because the lien holder is different. With D&M, even though we can swap manufacturer lines, the lien holder always stays the
Stays
same.
I got you.
So
lien
you
holder
get
the
the
owner.
same, because we're the owner. So you get the same tax credit that you would get if you owned it.
Gotcha.
And so most people, when they come back to us and trade, if you were just in a bank lease or a national bank lease, you'd have to pay full taxes on your next lease. So you'd have that $2,500 that Chase just talked about. Then you have to pay full taxes. But if you're trading with us, maybe you have that $2,500, but maybe we can save you $2,000 in taxes on the next deal, so we can wipe out the negative equity. It's a net wash to the
big deal.
customer. It's a big deal.
It's a couple
We call
thousand every
those
time, and so that adds that people are going to have 10, 15 cars in their lifetime, a couple grand every time.
It adds up, and we call those retention benefits, and those retention benefits are exclusive to D&M Leasing and D&M Leasing customers.
Love that. It all goes back to relationships too. I mean, you talked about the fact that, your associates are going to be dealing with them throughout the process. You're going to help them get to the back end. This is not a one-off thing. There's conversations going on. It's a
They're
relationship.
not on their own. They got somebody looking out for them, knowing the plan, and then also fitting in what they want to do next. So that's where being able to help them do whatever they want to do next, we can fit that into which one of those three fits the best.
I mean, when you think about a vehicle, we probably don't think about it in these terms. I mean, it's obviously the second biggest purchase you make. You buy your house,
Yeah.
you buy your car, you spend probably more time in your vehicle than any other place than your house, right?
Yeah,
So
and it's
an
our
important investment.
it's our passion, and it's something that we're passionate about. I believe we're experts in,
Yeah.
and I think that that means something to customers, that they're always talking to the same individual, and that person was involved in helping them set it up, and that person is involved at the end and going over specifically the retention benefits. Our people like to call their customers and say, you're in a good position because the way we set it up, you have these retention benefits that make it easier.
Yep.
Easy.
I've heard about
Have you heard that?
I've heard y'all make leasing
I thought
easy.
maybe you'd heard it.
Yeah.
It makes it easier from going to one vehicle to the next.
Love that. All right, find out more at dmautoleasing.com for Kelly Chase. I'm Brian here on Inside the Lease.